How do you choose which hair removal process you feel would be best for you? I want to start from the very fundamental basics, which is shaving. And yes, it is an option. Very, very economical, quick and easy in a shower. Yeah, it works. It lasts maybe depending on your rate of growth. Some people by the end of the day, they have bristles. Some people within a week, their hair starts to grow. So it really all depends on your rate of hair growth. And no two people are really the same. I mean, yeah, you can have people that grow faster and some that grow very slow, but it's really your individual hair growth rate that matters to you. So the only thing I want to say about shaving, just a little bit of a myth buster, because I always hear, even from professionals in the industry, don't shave, it makes your hair grow thicker. Absolutely not true. The only thing that will make your hair grow thicker are your own hormones and whatever's happening to them. If your hair is meant to become, like if you're looking at a man, a young boy shaving, he's not going to have coarse hair right away, but eventually his hair is going to grow into some of them, really thick terminal hair. That's not because he shaved. So let's say you're shaving your hair and you say, oh, look, it feels a little more coarse than before. It's because every hair left untouched has a fine point. So every time it grows and you shave it, you're shaving it. Imagine exaggeratively a triangle and you shave the top, then the next feel is going to be a little more coarse and thick. And then when you get to the bottom base, it'll be the thickest part. So in exaggeration, that's basically what's happening, but it's not making your hair thicker. Otherwise, everybody would stop with this glorified shaving called dermaplaning. Still a skill though. It's not making all that baby hair, what we call vellus hair, but all that fine peach fuzz hair thicker. Might feel prickly as it's growing back, but that's just because the fine point's been blunted off. But you don't have to worry about it turning into a man's beard-like hair, or women who have terminal facial hair problems. Go ahead and shave and feel confident. It's just one of those things. You have to keep doing it over and over forever. Then you have, of course, waxing, which has been around so long. I wish I could say sugaring has been around that long professionally. Of course, it's been around for thousands of years. Waxing itself is probably the most recognized form of hair removal. And I gotta say, it's come a long way, and gratefully and rightfully so, because the waxes today are so much more conducive to working with very sensitive skins as opposed to when they first started. The super hot and the super firm, it was coarse, it was, they used to sift it, all those terrible things to reuse on people. But waxing has its place in the marketplace even today. And that's because it's quick, it's easy, put it on, rip it off against the natural direction. It's not what I like to do because I have my clear theoretical reasons why it's better to extract hair in a natural direction. But it works. You do get more hair breakage. You do end up with more ingrowns typically, but maybe someone is not conducive. So it's not like waxing is all horrible. It's not. I know a handful of excellent waxers that totally respect everything we're doing, but they're hardcore waxers. They're very, very good at it, and they do provide very good results. But they will say sugaring is really more gentle to the skin. In essence, waxing is viable. You need about 1/4 of an inch, which is okay. That's, can be anywhere from, depending on your rate of growth again, anywhere from 1.5, 2 weeks to 3 to 4 weeks. That 1/4 inch is the sweet spot for waxing so that there's enough growth for the resin to adhere to and help it to come out with a firm removal against the natural direction. Affordability, it's all over the board. You can find waxers that charge nearly nothing, and then others that offer more of a superior treatment, probably even with better post-treatment to the care of the skin, and they'll charge more for the treatments. But in the end, it's quite viable and it's thriving out there in the market still. And the other thing about waxing is that if it gets stuck on the skin, you can't wash it off. You have to rip it off. No matter what it's doing to your skin, you have to rip it off. And then you have sugaring, and I have to say that that's become all over the table as well. And by that I mean, much like waxing, There are some really good sugarists, and there are some that just give a bad rap to the sugaring industry as a whole. So the downfall to sugaring for professionals, it's very, very skill-based. The good news is there are aka Alexandria Professional and others, there are very good companies that really care about the education. It's their primary concern. So let's put that to the side. Let's say you love sugaring and you've mastered it and you're an expert. So what you can expect is that you can provide the clients with a permanent reduction program plan. We teach all that in the education at Alexandria. You can do hairs even shaven, 1 or 2 days before. I wouldn't recommend you tell somebody, hey, let me do your full legs. Take you quite some effort to get all those very tiny hairs, less than a 16th of an inch out, but it would be doable. It would just take a lot of time. The reason it would be doable is because of the seepage of the sugar. It's just that you'd have to keep going over to kind of like inch that hair out, what we call tough hair extraction. And it would be more taxing on you as a practitioner, but the client would be happy because it would, when you do the technique right, you wouldn't be irritating the skin from the technique, from the application itself at all. So you could do it, but if you wanted to be able to extract hair that short, you would have to master that tough hair extraction technique so that you don't harm the skin. But imagine being able to do that and helping women who have hormonal facial hair growth. They don't have to wait until all the hair is out. They don't have to wait until, the hair is a certain longer length where you're gonna have more stages already there, meaning you'll extract, but some stages will already be in intelligent, having released from its feeding source. I'm trying to speak to both here, consumers and professionals. And then the ones in the early growth, still attached to dermapapilla, the feeding source, will be extracted. That's the key to sugaring, learning how to extract the hair in the early anagen stage to reach permanent reduction faster. That's the miracle of everything I've been teaching for 33 years, really, because we're unlimited. I swear to you, we are unlimited. Doesn't matter the color, tone, or texture of your skin or of your hair. From, how we say, from legally blind albino, which I did, to the toughest Middle Eastern hair, which they have like mesanogen, 2-3 hairs per follicle, and there's just no space in between that hair, and everything in between. If you understand, if you've gained the knowledge and the expertise, you are unlimited with professional sugaring. So clearly, my heart is there. And another great thing about sugaring is if you're a practitioner and you kind of like melt it down, you don't need to panic. You just wash it off with lukewarm water. It's just easy breezy. Wash it off. No skin off your back or theirs. And then you have laser IPL, which is also now worldly recognized with limitations. Everybody knows that you have limitations on, although much like waxing, they've come a long way as well, but they're still limited. I think that's why you've seen price drops in equipment and price drop in the services as well, because they're trying to gain momentum in offering their treatments. And the limitations are there on skin tone, texture. Certainly you can't laser or wax or shave skin conditions like eczema and psoriasis and so on. But you can sugar. I forgot to mention that earlier. But with the laser, I've seen some good results and I've seen some permanent scarring. I've seen a lot. I saw it was shaped like this on a man's back in Switzerland. And I thought it was like a birthmark. And he said, no, that was my attempt at laser. So he has a permanent lopsided number 7 on his back. And but I sugared everything else and it was beautiful. The only thing with laser is that's where, and I want to help everybody to understand this, not just professionals, they probably already do, but mostly consumers. The reason we came out with the permanent reduction is because the last thing I'll talk about is electrolysis. Because back when electrolysis came out, it was the only thing ever considered permanent. Although we all know hair has come back even from electrolysis. But it was the same with laser. And that's where the State Board of Cosmetologists came together and said, okay, we can dictate that it's a permanent reduction program. So I've seen, and I've spoken to many professional laserists, that after that 5-year mark, fine hairs start to come back. And they said, well, that was a good 5-year run. Yes, it really is. But what are you going to do with that fine hair? It's too fine to laser, but it's not too fine to sugar. and even when it's very short. So I love to marry the two, laser and sugaring, which I'll talk about in another episode. So laser is your most expensive option. Sugaring is very similar to waxing in costing. You have some that charge less, some that charge more. It all depends on location, of course, and how much of the treatment is really transferred to you. There's so much you could do with the sugaring. With the laser, it's basically equipment time, that cost. And so it can be more expensive, but you can get good results. You still have limitations and still have a risk of permanent scarring. Those are the realities. Now, electrolysis was it was electrolysis, waxing, and shaving. And it was very popular, and it was very in tune with high-skilled, trained individuals. I have so many stories. One time when I was working I would say probably 30 years ago, I went to Montreal to do my first class in sugaring, and I didn't know a fraction of what I know today. I just knew how to sugar the old-fashioned way. But I still went, and it was still very gentle. So these electrologists said to me, "We're not going to do anything on a face." And I said, "Well, I can't certify you if you don't do the face as well." So what happened, and I swear to you, we got them all certified, and they started using sugaring and electrolysis. So they would do body parts that people didn't want to have electrolysis done. Most people went for like bikini, underarm, facial. Facial was very big, especially hormonal facial hair growth for electrolysis. And when they started seeing the results with sugaring, what they would do is when the hair got super, super fine, and reduced growth, they would zap it with their electrolysis process. And so they love to marry the two again. And so that became very acceptable to train electrologists in sugaring treatments. So at the end of the day, I feel like sugaring is so well-rounded in pricing, in skin safety, skin health, definitely in all the skin types and hair textures and tones, all the things that might limit other systems, doesn't limit sugaring. And at the end of the day, we reach permanent reduction. I like to say permanency, but I stick to the rules and regulations, permanent reduction. And that's what we teach. How can you consult your client on reaching the best results for them in the fastest, most healthy way for the skin? So that's where you have what we have on the market available today. And at the end of the day, guys, the choice is yours. But I'd like you to make an educated decision for your pocket, as well as for the health of your skin and how you want to get rid of your hair. Thanks for watching us today. And if you're interested to learn more, please subscribe to our YouTube channel.